Welcome to Founders Friday. This is the tell-all for anyone that is in a revenue-producing role. We invite experts who are responsible for driving revenue for their respective companies to share their experiences here so we can all learn from them. Our goal is not just to educate, but also entertain. And so remember to share your secret sauce. Keep your responses punchy. Let's have some fun. My guest today is Cliff Simon. He's an advisor as well as an executive for several high-growth startups, where he utilizes his expertise in all things go-to-market and RevOps. He's also an active leader in several go-to-market communities, including RevGenius, Pavilion, and others. With over 13 years of technology experience in SaaS service industries, including consulting, networking, communications, software and e-commerce, and supply chain, we're welcoming Cliff here to our Founders Friday today. Welcome, Cliff, and share a little bit of your professional journey and what brought you to the Carabiner Group and your current role there.
Yeah, thanks, Asim. Really glad to be here and having the opportunity to chat with you all. It's been a fun ride, and I've been in B2B sales, like you said, for about 13 years now. Been in SaaS for the last 7, fintech for the last 3.5. And everywhere I went, I was that power user that always broke Salesforce or told the admins, hey, I could do this thing that I probably shouldn't be able to do. You might want to fix that because I don't think that's how approvals are supposed to work. And having run into Seamus and been able to go on this journey with him to help create RevOps as a service was really exciting to me. So it was a long way of getting here, but finally in that position now we're working with a founder and working very closely to build something from the ground up.
That's amazing. So you mentioned Seamus and of course the Carabiner Group. Tell us a little bit more about the origin of the company, how it got started. You're a fairly young company and growing really fast. So share a little bit with the audience what your mission statements.
Yeah, it's been a very fun year. We're 15 months now in business, and we've grown rapidly. Fingers crossed we'll be hitting the $3 million ARR mark by the end of this year. And our approach to consulting has been very different. We don't look for SOWs or project work. In fact, we don't want that quick money grab. Very holistic in the way that we approach our clients, making sure that we're not just looking at the symptoms, but looking at the underlying disease and what's causing these things to occur so that we can allow them and enable them to take that next step in business operations and looking at business outcomes. Seamus, who is the founder of the firm, until a couple of weeks ago was the youngest ever Trailblazer Ranger in Salesforce history. He just lost that title to some 13-year-old in Singapore. And I think that just in itself speaks to where the industry is, right? There's such a demand and such a need for talented consultants and people who know these technologies to come and help this burgeoning SaaS space, right? There's so many companies now. I think we're estimating another like 500 to 600 new SaaS companies every year.
Wow.
So
amazing.
Yeah, it's a huge ecosystem, but he started the company 15 months ago, and I had the good fortune of coming in very early on to help run everything go to market.
Fantastic. So now I know that you're, as a consulting company, you work on a recurring basis with your clients. So help our audience understand a little bit of the model, right? What can they expect to get out of that engagement, and how do you typically operate? And you use the word RevOps as a service. I think that's just brilliant in the way that you've crafted the story and the business you're building out. We certainly have a point of view on that. I'd love to share with you as well. But go ahead and tell us what that looks like from a client's perspective.
Yeah, from a client's perspective, it's meant to be frictionless, right? I think of Amazon. How can you affect the buying experience so that it's as frictionless as possible? And SaaS companies just change so much, right? The things that are happening now are very different from the things that are going to be happening 3 months from now. And can we engage with our clients in a way that allows us to evolve and work through the ebbs and flows of their journey and their growth cycles with them? Mm-hmm. So we've really designed the company to be able to do that, to come in tactically, put hands on keyboard and do the process, that operational work of building, but also be able to put our arms around them, sit next to them at the table or at the whiteboard and help them really design what process looks like, what are industry best practices, what is good, and what's going to enable you to get to that next milestone, whether that's a revenue marker or another seed to Series A to Series B funding round.
Gotcha. And So, Cliff, you're responsible for driving revenue for the Carabiner Group. Help us understand a little bit of what that process looks like from your lens. So, how do you go about finding new clients, acquiring new clients? What's sort of the value proposition that you deliver to your clients?
Yeah, as far as being able to find clients and go to market with them, it's really about being an expert for them and being able to be a sounding board for our clients, going to the places where they go to find help and making sure that we're delivering there, giving, not expecting anything in return, but being able to be a good member of the RevOps community. And if an opportunity arises for us to partner together and to work together long term, then that's what we're looking for. If we can help somebody in the short term by giving them some advice, hopping on a call and walking them through an issue that they're dealing with, that's great too.
That's great. And, sales automation obviously is typically at the center of the CRM strategy for most B2B SaaS companies, but there's also a much broader footprint in the CRM domain. So help us understand, what does that technology footprint look like, and where all do you get engaged?
Yeah, technology is funny. There's so many things that people use when they're a solopreneur or they're just trying to figure out what that MVP product is.
Yeah.
And you see the evolution of it from folks using Pipedrive or Close.io or Notion, some Excel spreadsheets, right?
Yeah.
And then maybe you graduate over to a HubSpot or a Copper. Most of the time we see people moving to Salesforce, right? 85% of all companies that IPO are using Salesforce. And it's not easy, right? Enterprise level systems are difficult for those of us who do this on a regular basis. It's damn right frustrating for companies who are trying to implement this stuff on their own and don't have that level of expertise and the project management and the oversight of looking at an entire tech stack. Yes, you're picking up one piece, but how does everything else, from the marketing side to sales to customer success to product, how does that all live in one center of truth? And how can you make it so that that information is being disseminated throughout your entire organization so it's actionable? No one thinks about that. Well, I shouldn't say no one, but most people don't seem to think about that when they're putting the different pieces together. And that's something that we really try to help our clients think well through. How do you make sure that as you're going from Series A to B to C, as you're adding on new headcount, how are all these tools working in concert with each other to avoid things like tech debt? Avoid the fact that you bought an expensive thing that you're only using 20% of, like maximizing on what you have, and then thinking well about when and how to add or migrate pieces.
Yeah. So you brought up a couple of really good points in that comment, Cliff. One around product usage data and bringing that together with all of the other customer-facing data points that an organization obviously has access to. Tell from our perspective, obviously that's where we're focused on. Driving that connection from product usage to bringing that data into the CRM domain, and any revenue-producing function can take advantage of it. Share a little bit more about that. I mean, you guys have worked on similar implementations and technologies. What's the value of product usage data to a sales and service team?
So I think everyone really gets caught up on sales and marketing because it's the sexy side of the go-to-market, right? It's where you're acquiring the new customers. But I think something that many folks, again, don't think about very often is the fact that in SaaS, it's a recurring revenue business.
Yeah.
You need that business to recur. And in order to do that, you have to deliver a really great client experience. And if you can do things like NPS, CSAT, looking at product usage data to give you that very high level early indicator about churn risk or the chance to do an upsell and increase your net dollar retention, those are things that are going to set you up for success. And that's really where the bulk of your business is going to be won. It doesn't matter how much you're winning on the front end if you've got a massive hole in the boat. So, product usage, I'm seeing product usage data be very valuable in several key areas, but again, churn risk probably being the biggest, making sure that you're getting that churn as close to zero as possible. If someone's purchased 50 licenses from you and they're only actively using 25 of them, good chance something's going to happen there.
Yes.
On the other side, you can see that they're using their licenses very well. You pay attention to what's going on in LinkedIn or on Indeed or where have you, and you see that those folks are going to be hiring. good chance you guys have a chance for an upsell there. So make sure that you're engaged and staying on top of that.
Yeah, no, that's great. And then, the second comment that you made earlier about actionability, right? So this has been obviously a personal journey and something that's motivated me to, and my co-founder to start Immersa. I've been in so many conversations and meetings and QBRs and whatnot over the course of my career, where a lot of the discussions about, what do we see on the dashboard, where the issues are, et cetera. But then when it comes to actually doing something different, that's always challenging, typically a manual process. So from your lens, when you talk about actionability, what does that mean to you? And then how do you help your clients drive actionability? Give us a little bit of a flavor on that.
To me, actionability means that take any type of reporting function, right? Within 15 to 30 seconds of, of me looking at that report, I should know exactly what I need to go do. If I'm a high level executive, C-suite, VP, I should be able to take that report that I'm looking at and very quickly discern what that information means, usually 2 to 3 different data points, and be able to go to my direct reports and either tell them what they need to be able to go and do, what they should be giving to their team to go handle, or whatever it is I might personally need to be able to take on and keep moving forward the operational goals of the business, right? All those things should be pointing me to whatever my KPIs are, my OKRs, or my MBOs.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I think the key point that I heard you make is around operationalizing those KPIs, not just setting them up for reporting purposes, but actually acting upon it to continue to drive that metric forward. Now, what advice do you offer clients before they engage with you to deploy a CRM footprint? What is some of the basic sort of process or strategy work that either you help them do or they must already have in place in order for a CRM deployment to be successful? So what does that look like, and what advice you offer to clients that are starting? We're kind of in that position ourselves. We're working through that now, as you know. So love to hear what that advice feels like.
In the early days, one of the most important things is really understanding your buyer journey, mapping that out, and then you map out all of your processes to it, right? The way that you're going to move through CRM and a sales cycle, the way that you're going to move a client or potential client through your marketing funnel into MQL, and you're going to start hitting all these conversion rates across your volume metrics. Think well about that and design it in a way that makes sense for you and mirrors the way that you want to be interacting with your clients. Mm-hmm. If you've got that set, now start going through and clearly identify your entry and exit criteria across all the different stages throughout that bow tie, right? All the way from ICP, MQL, all the way to that net dollar retention on the back end. Have that clearly defined and have that written down, and have all the stakeholders within your go-to-market function, within your executive team, agree to that. Make sure that everyone's on the same page so that you're always moving towards the same end goal. It's no longer multiple runners going and going at their own pace. Everyone's working together now as a team.
Yeah.
So, when you have that alignment, it makes it so much easier as a business.
I think, Cliff, that's such good advice, to have it written down and to kind of think through from a customer's lens, what does that journey look like before we start thinking inside out, think outside in. So I love that. I think that's just really useful advice. Now, you guys offer a fractional RevOps experience, or what you call RevOps as a service. So help us understand the role that a good RevOps function plays in a Salesforce or a CRM deployment. Like, what's the value of that function over time?
So the value of that function, first and foremost, as you're implementing a CRM, or if you have one implemented and you're starting to get that pushed out throughout the entire org, is benchmarking. First off and foremost, knowing where you are so that you can understand what the future state looks like. If you don't know where you are, you can't go somewhere, right? As far as the rest of the org, the idea behind revenue operations is to be able to take all the different pieces that are typically siloed off within your different business units, and now we're sharing that knowledge and that information. We're tightening up the feedback loop between the client to product, the client to marketing, the client to sales, enabling sales to sell and talk about different use cases that you might not have addressed with your initial TAM, or for marketing to be able to bring in additional value propositions that, again, you didn't think about in that initial offering. for product to be able to iterate faster about the things that you know are going to help bring you more business, right? It's everything that people want to be doing, but they don't always think about. And if you can tighten that up and create an operational cadence around that to deliver that information to the different units, RevOps is designed to do that.
Got it. And Cliff, I mean, you've been in this industry for some time now. You're very active on the communities and the forums here. What changes do you see happening in the RevOps segment? Like, do you see the role evolving? Do you see the function changing? What direction is it headed?
I think it's being adopted more and more and more. If you look at the job postings that are out there, there's a ton of RevOps openings, whether that's at a director level, a manager level, or someone that's coming in the door and learning.
Yeah.
And you're seeing it too with the great migration or the great resignation or the great shuffle, whatever people keep calling this. But RevOps used to stay in a role anywhere from 18 to 22 months before they left. And now we're seeing that significantly decrease, like 10 to 12, 10 to 14 months. So companies are losing that tribal knowledge, and people are coming in. Well, there's a lot of consultants out there now where we're actually serving as that business continuity plan and the keepers of the tribal knowledge for these clients, because people are coming and going so quickly, because there's a lot more money that they're being thrown on another table somewhere.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I think the point you made about the rapid sort of shift that's occurring right now, and particularly the short-lived aspect of this role, because people are moving so quickly from one thing to the next, I think just kind of emphasizes how important this is in terms of having the right processes and systems. So as people move and change, you can maintain some continuity in your business from one person to the next. Now, when you look to hire somebody, as a SaaS company, we ourselves will be in that position at some point in the near future, looking for RevOps hire. What are some of the characteristics one should look for? What are some of the, what's the kind of skill set, and what are some of the personal characteristics that one should look for in this hire?
Sure, man. We're going through this too, right? We're constantly hiring. We've gone from 3 to 16 full-time employees in the last year. I think we've got 6 new hires starting in January already.
Wow,
the things that I would recommend looking for, especially if you're a Series A, Series B company, the same kind of things that you're looking for in the rest of your team. Someone that's going to be a self-starter, someone that's scrappy, that's willing and understands the need to be adaptable, because things are constantly shaking and moving. Like, the ground underneath their feet is never steady at a startup, right? You're going to be asked to wear many hats, and that person's got to be willing to go and grab a problem by the horns and take it. I think that's probably the biggest thing I look for, is someone willing to take on a challenge that their direct supervisor is struggling with, and are they going to go ahead and take that on, in addition to being highly competent at what their day-to-day roles and responsibilities are. Someone who's hungry to learn, I think, is also a really good spot to be in. And then from an EQ perspective, are they humble? Are they willing to concede points when they're not right? Are they a good human being? For us, we've never done traditional hiring where I'm going to give you a test or a technical exam or make you walk through 1,000 hoops. If you say you can do the things you say you can do, I'm going to believe you until you give me reason to doubt. And are you a good person? And I think when you've got a leadership team that's really focused on taking care of the people that work for you, that all plays out really well.
Great. So one last question here. Now, you're part of several professional communities around RevOps. If someone's just starting out in this function, wants to learn more from others in this community, what are some of the places you recommend that they go invest their time in?
Yeah, if you're brand new to RevOps and you don't have a lot of money to be able to sink into professional development, the #1 place I would recommend going is YouTube. Winning by Design has a ton of free videos on there. I'm a certified revenue growth architect through them. Their content is amazing, and it's being adopted widely within the greater SaaS ecosystem. Jocko's awesome, fellow Dutchman, much respect. If you have the ability to spend time in Slack channels and learn from others, RevOps Co-op, Wizards of Ops, and Pavilion are all great resources. Pavilion, out of those, is the only one that's not free, but the level of people and learning there is fantastic. And they also offer many courses on revenue operations, and just in all those communities, just great people whose brains you can pick. Toss your hand up, ask a question, and you're good responses. Grab time with folks and just learn from people. You know, take the time to take 30 minutes, an hour a week, and find people to talk with.
Great. No, I think all of these communities that you just outlined, you know, we've engaged with them in one way or the other, and really useful content, and more importantly, really good people that we've come across. So including yourself, we've met over RevGenius, I believe. So
yeah.
So Cliff, thank you for joining us today. It's always a pleasure to speak with you and to learn about how your business is growing and how fast you guys are moving. Can you share with the audience where they can reach you besides LinkedIn, of course? Are you on Twitter? Are you on a specific community that's easy?
For me, the easiest way is usually LinkedIn. Pretty straightforward, /Cliff Simon. You can also email me. I'm cliff@carabinergroup.com. And then within the different communities, I'm in Pavilion, RevGenius, RevOps Co-op, Wizards of Ops. Try to be active in most of those. What's that?
Any one of those different communities?
Yeah, I try to be active in all of them. I think that they all offer really great resources, and they're all worthy of spending your time. So.
Yeah. Cliff, thank you so much for your time. I learned a lot today. I learned about, you know, what it takes to deploy a successful CRM strategy. What's some of the prep work that needs to happen, particularly focusing on the buyer journey before you even embark on a CRM deployment approach, and just the value of product usage data and driving actionability. And you know, really enjoyed the conversation. We'll look forward to welcoming you the next time as well. And thank you for your time today. For our audience, if you're interested in learning more about how you can bring product usage data to your sales and service teams to drive actionability, check us out at immersa.ai. And thank you so much for your time again, Cliff. Talk soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Asim. Appreciate it.